Cam, we're starting with the game last night. Bears 40, Commanders 20. Okay,
Wow.
I picked the Commanders in this one, and I'm not gonna lie. What the hell was that?
Dude,
I don't understand.
After the Eagles matchup, you expect the Washington football team, the Washington Commanders, to really blow the Bears out. I mean, at this point, right? We talked about it. Luke Getsy, a little bit pedestrian in his play call. I think that's like the tagline. Luke Getsy, pedestrian play caller. Well, to be fair, he won last night, so shout out to him. But we have some thoughts about that, right? Jake, you mentioned some of his play calling was a little suspect, but I mean, it's only week 5, Jake. It's only week 5. I feel like our emotions are like this. They're up and down right now. So hopefully we can get to even keel here.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have overreaction Monday because there was a Thursday night game. So we're talking about overreaction Friday here. So Justin Fields goes 15 of 29. I got to tell you, this year more than ever, I don't care about completion percentage. I do not care. I'm going to just preface it right now with that. Anthony Richardson went 11 of 25 against the Rams, but he was amazing in that game, right? Like, he kept them in that game. He led them back and made an overtime game. Justin Fields is the reason they won this game, as well as DJ Moore. You can say what you will. I thought the defense played pretty well in this one, despite the fact they almost gave up 400 yards to Sam Howell. But they sacked Sam Howell 5 times. You talk about TJ Edwards, the free agent signing from the Eagles. Really good pickup. Greg Stroman got a sack. DeMarcus Walker got a sack. Yannick Ngakoue, Rasheem Green. So you love to see that. I thought they definitely did a nice job. The defense was definitely a lot better than what we've seen as of late. And I just think, you look at Washington, it's like, man, they were at home, Cam. You're telling me that you had the Washington faithful there, and they're all excited. They're getting dapped up. They're getting ready to see their team. They're tailgating. Oh, we got prime time. This team's not bad. It's 2-2. They're 2-2. We just, Amazon. We just played the Eagles tough, and you're telling me you come out to a 27-3 27-3 deficit at halftime. And now, I mean, you got to make some crazy comeback, and you're at the mercy of the Bears, who did a nice job. I mean, I don't think they ran the ball enough with Khalil Herbert. He averaged 7.6 yards per carry, and that's incredible. But, I want to know what the hell was Washington doing? I mean,
I'll tell you.
From the get-go, man, they didn't really run the ball. It was like, Brian Robinson, 6 carries for 10 yards. Well, that's not going to work. It's like, well, you have Antonio Gibson. Try to figure it out. Don't just stick with that guy. If they're shutting it down, go somewhere else. And I just don't feel like they did a good job of that. They instead were like, all right, we're going to have Sam Howell, who is susceptible to getting picked. I mean, he had 4 picks against the Buffalo Bills. We're going to have him throwing 51 times, Cam. That's not conducive to winning football.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what happened, Jake. You talked about he threw the ball a lot and, had 400 yards passing. I know we mentioned that, but the Bears defensive backs, right, they're out of commission, right? They're out of commission. They have some guys out. But Terrell Smith, a 5th-round cornerback, stepped up. He had, only allowed 4 catches and 5 targets for a total of 28 yards. So he shut it down on that end. But the other guys on the back end weren't doing so well. But, Jake, I will say this. You talked about it. You said Washington football team came back against the Eagles, forced overtime, and then ended up losing that game, but played a great game. But, Jake, you think about a health meter, right? You think about a health meter. You playing Pokemon, you think about a health meter. Well, going into overtime against a division rival, and then you have to turn around and play on Thursday again, that's really tough, right? You think, okay, hey, it's the Bears. We're just going to trample over them. Well, after playing that game, that health meter has gone to about 75, right? Okay, on Sunday, health meter's at 75. Then you have to turn around and get ready and be game ready by Wednesday night, Jake. And that's really, you got Monday, you got Tuesday, you got Wednesday. You really got 2 days to get game ready. And to be honest, that's not enough, especially against a team that just competed in a world championship. So I will say that their energy battery was deflated. I think Magic Johnson tweeted about it. He said, hey, we had no fire tonight. We had no fight until the third quarter. We made adjustments and we were able to make a somewhat of a comeback, but it was too late by then, Jake. But I do think that their battery was at 75. It wasn't to where they needed to be, and the score showed.
Yeah, it's upsetting. You'd like to see more. I think these, unfortunately, primetime just has not been great this year. I mean, we gotta address the elephant in the room. Primetime has just been really bad. And this game had way more points scored than any of us could have thought. I think there were people saying, is this game going to be 5-3? Like, it's like, it felt like it was going to be ugly. I think it was 24-21. I had Washington winning. I thought it'd be a close game. I didn't think they'd get blown out. I didn't think they'd get blown out at home. But I have to give a shout out to a guy on Washington, a guy we've talked about, Chase Young, 11 pressures. Ooh. He was all over Justin Fields. Now, Fields didn't flinch. Fields did not flinch. He only got a half sack on Fields. Fields only was sacked 3 times. But you got to give credit where credit's due. And Chase Young, man, they might be deciding to sign the wrong guys, because if Chase Young is him, like, if he's back and he's healthy, 11 pressures, I mean, this guy's not done. Like, he's not. I think too many people are forgetting this was the 2nd overall pick. We didn't take his 5th-year option because he's gotten banged up a little bit. I still disagree with the move. I think you had to pick that up. You made a 2nd overall pick investment in him. But I mean, I think Chase Young, the 11 pressures there, he was by far the best player on the defensive line. And then, you look and it's like, I don't know what Bieniemy and Ron Rivera are doing here, because, you look at Sam Howell and it's like, I know they were really, kind of spacing out the targets here, but man, like Jahan Dotson, this is a guy who's supposed to take over potentially and be even bigger than McLaurin. I just haven't seen it. And we know he's capable of it. He had a bunch of touchdowns last year, but I got to tell you, Washington's in trouble, because I think it's definitely fair to say that. Right now they're 1-2 at home. They do a really poor job of protecting home field. They have 1 win at home. That's the Cardinals game, in which they honestly could have lost. It was 20-16. Yeah. They have another win against the Broncos. But aside from that, they've gotten crushed by the Bills. They stayed in the game against the Eagles, rivalry game, and that was on the road. And then they go against the Bears, who hadn't won a game, and they lost by 20. So upcoming, now, things are going to get a little bit easier for them before they get harder. And that's something to keep in mind. But keep in mind this, Cam, okay? They still have another matchup against the Eagles. Like, you do have the Giants coming up. Falcons, we'll get to them. But you got the Falcons and Giants, okay? You could win those 2 games. Those are winnable games. The Eagles, in New England, it's never really easy to win in New England, especially against Bill Belichick on the road, young quarterback. But you got Seattle. You got 2 dates with the Cowboys, another one with the Eagles, like I mentioned, the Dolphins, the Rams in L.A., the Jets. I mean, by that time, who knows? Are the Jets still playing for something? If they are, that could be a tough game down the road. And then you talk about the last 2 games of the season, Cam. The 49ers and the Cowboys back-to-back. Washington's in trouble, man. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't think Ron Rivera makes it through this season. I don't know if they necessarily fire him midseason, but I'm saying this is his last year as head coach. Yeah,
Eric Bieniemy needs to step up, right? And if he wants to step up as a head coach, this could be his opportunity to get that bump up. What I will say, Jake, they do have Jamison Crowder on their roster on the offensive side. Feel free to use him. I mean, he's a shifty guy. I think he played at Duke. So, hey, shifty guy, feel free to tap into Jamison Crowder there. And then I'll go Emmanuel Forbes on the defensive side, Jake. I know he got benched after DJ Moore went crazy, right? Hit a hitch route, went for 32. So Emmanuel Forbes started off strong, and I think he's just being a little inconsistent, Jake. I mean, welcome to the NFL. He's playing against great receivers, and he's getting embarrassed out there. So maybe, call Sauce Gardner and say, hey, man, how did you do it? Right? What did you do in the offseason? Just get ready and figure that out, because I know as a first-round pick, getting benched is not great. It's not a great feeling, especially against the Bears. So, to that point, Washington has to figure it out, because the first quarter is done. The first 4 games are done. Hey, or really 5 for them now. So now it's like, hey, we have to make the playoffs. Will we make the playoffs? Will Ron Rivera be here in the future? Emmanuel Forbes, what does my career look like? I don't want to be the guy that in college taking interceptions back to the house and now getting benched because of, mistakes on the football field. So hopefully the Washington football team can figure that out and tighten things up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think moving forward, Washington, they're in some trouble. I think the Bears, who lost four straight, they should have beat the Broncos, and they knew that. They might have found something that week. Definitely found something in Justin Fields. They lost a 10-point game to the Buccaneers, in which they were in that game.
Yeah.
Packers, at no point were they in that. Chiefs, at no point were they in that. Now moving forward, they got the Vikings. Then you have the Raiders, the Chargers. You got the Saints, the Panthers, the Lions twice. Another date with the Vikings, the Browns, the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Packers. The Lions, that's the one that really stands out to me. The Vikings could be tough, but this is not the toughest schedule. So if I'm a Bears fan, I'm feeling really good about this win. I'm really kicking myself about the Broncos game, but you move on. 24-hour rules in full effect,
There you go.
and you enjoy this win, 20-point win in front of everybody. Justin Fields has looked good the last two games.
Yeah.
DJ Moore's exploding, and the defense is starting to look decent. So now apply that moving forward. You can beat some of these teams, and who knows? We don't know how the wild card's going to go. They're still in this thing. They really are.
Yeah, the Bears. I mean, wow. A couple weeks ago, Jake, we were like, I don't know. And so it's a breath of fresh air, I think, for the NFL in general to see a team that's been struggling supremely, right? You're in the news for, the cops, FBI's, you were raiding the house for one of the defensive court. It's been crazy over there. So this has been refreshing for the game of football. So really excited for the Bears and excited to see what they do for the rest of Justin Fields' career.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, totally agree with you.